Hello everyone! So in honor of the Top 5 Wednesday Goodreads group, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put a link in the down bar, I decided I was going to do a Top 5 Wednesday video for the first time ever, because why not? And I'm going to do the one that's the theme for today, which means you're about to hear the top 5 books that I've devoured. So the 5 books that I went with are ones that whenever I picked them up, I had no desire to put them down. So I just read them as much in one sitting as I possibly could. And with that being said, the first one is probably not a very big surprise. Specifically, the 7th Harry Potter book, Deathly Hallows, I finished in one sitting. I was actually working at a bookstore when the book was released, so I immediately went home after I finished working all night long and read the book until the very, very early hours of the morning, at which point I slept for 2 hours and went back to work at the bookstore. And not only did I read the book quickly, but I thought that it was a very good ending to the series, even if there were parts of the 7th book that I was not entirely happy with. But you can definitely hear me rant about that at some other point, because for now, just know that the entire Harry Potter series I basically devoured in the same way that I devoured this book. An Abundance of Catherine's I went through extremely quickly because it's funny and it's witty and it just flies right past you, and there's so many funny things in the footnotes, and I love the way that those are being used, and I love the way that intellect and humor were used in this book. Even though I get something different from it every time, each time that I read it, it's still always like that, and it always goes straight through it. I know that everybody loves Anna and the French Kiss so much more than they love Lola, but I am obsessed with Cricket. So I've read Lola and the Boy Next Door several times, and every time I do, I just fly through it. And it's partially because the writing is so good, and it's also partially because the characterization in the writing is so phenomenal. Everything about the way that Stephanie Perkins writes characters and writes romance is very real and very genuine, but also completely quirky, and I really love the combination. So pretty much anything by Stephanie Perkins I am game for, and I will do it all in one sitting, and I will read all of her books straight in a row without any pause and not feel the need to ever stop to even eat. So love Stephanie Perkins. So number 4 is Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, and I really love all of Rainbow Rowell's books, but the rest of her books have almost even more heavy themes than this one does, which is interesting since this is the adult book. I'm really interested to see what she does with Landline that's coming out this summer. But Attachments was adorable. I loved the way that she used email, and I actually am always completely drawn to the way that Rainbow Rowell ties her stories to the time that they're set in. So this is very 90s in all the best ways. Attachments was, again, my first Rainbow Rowell novel, so I'm really attached to it. Get it? But I do really like it, and I did devour it the first time that I read it and immediately handed it off to my mom and was like, read this book next! Interpreter of Maladies, whenever I was an undergrad, was the first collection that made me feel like an English major. I really enjoyed it, I could analyze it, and reading it over and over again was a delight every time that I did it, which is not true for everything that I read in undergrad. Jubilee Harry did a very good job of opening my eyes to the different kinds of culture that are happening within America. I live in a very specific section of the South, and the school that I went to was not very diverse in its cultural backgrounds. It's not very diverse religiously, it's just in general. It's very much a, for lack of better terminology, white bread community. And college was an eye-opener for me, but this specifically did a really great job of showing me that the things that I thought that I knew academically were happening outside of my life were actually happening outside of my life. And for that, I will continue to devour Jubilee Harry. Just anything by her, but this specifically, if you haven't read anything by her, start with Interpreter of Maladies. It lives up to its Pulitzer Prize, and it lives up to the hype. So if you haven't done one of these videos yourself, then I really suggest you get with the Goodreads group and you start joining in, because it's a great community to be a part of. And more than that, I want to know what your top devoured books were. So please let me know in the comments, because not only am I always looking for good books, but I'm always looking for books that were really stuck and that you just had to read. So that's all I have for you today, and that means I will see you next week.